Okay, let's go back to Revelations real quick. And but before we get that, let's get the one where it says, "Deliver thyself," real quick. We in Zechariah, the second chapter. You got it?
Mm-hmm. Zechariah chapter 2, verse 1.
Zechariah chapter 2, verse 1. Because I say this because the conversations of this being a doctrine usually happens in our absence. This is actually what, and I'm glad I'm answering this question because this is a doctrinal discussion that happens amongst Hebrew Israelites. Okay? They think, or what people are trying to claim, is that the difference in what they teach and we teach is that we have a flea doctrine. But no, that's not the difference. Because Israelites were operating during crisis time. And they all believed in the Most High, the God of the Hebrews. But those that didn't follow Christ or have Christ's doctrine had a different understanding how to do things according to prophecy. All right? So those that were dealing with the Holy Spirit, those that were dealing with the baptism, the laying on of hands, and the doctrine of Christ had a different view of prophecy. So when you have Hebrew Israelites who know about slavery and know about a lot of history and precepts, but don't have the doctrine of Christ, they're going to view the prophecies of Christ differently. And that's what's going on. You're going to find that those that disagree with us and try to pigeonhole what the Most High say into a flea doctrine is not because of fleeing at all. It's a few things. The fact that we call on the name that the Most High gave Moses. Ahia, Ashar, Ahia. Because we call on Yeshua, we call on the Most High in Yeshua's name, which means our Savior. Because we have a doctrine of the New Testament of baptism and laying on of hands. That we have a doctrine that doesn't teach hatred or divisiveness, but the truth to the Jews first and to the Gentiles. Because we deal with the doctrine according to the word. And that's the main reason why when we bring out certain things, such as flee. Why was we bringing this forth? Because it was time. We were shown and it was time. Years ago, we weren't talking about fleeing because it wasn't time. So the Holy Spirit gives us utterance as we go on what we need to teach and what we need to say. And it's time. It says, when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, flee into the wilderness. And now every false flag and every news circulation out there and everything that's going on in the news is leading to what? More boots on the ground amongst civilians. So that's why the Most High had us at that time to get off the slave ships and all that and what so-called white man is doing and all that, to focus on our self-preservation, because there's something in prophecy that concerns us after America is gone. See? And for those who think it's going to always be there, you can never fathom a doctrine or the Bible telling you that the place you're living will one day not be. See? And it's tough when that's all we know. And I understand that. But people have to stop. They have to stop. They have to stop going against what the Most High say because they feel a certain type of way about man or men. If a man is bringing something as it is written from the Most High, it's not a man. Okay? That man is just the mouthpiece. But if you can go into the word and confirm what that man is saying, it's no longer that man. And if you feel a certain type of way about your brother, and let that skew the information that's coming to you from the Most High, that's to your own detriment. Okay? And it's deep that the question was asked, because that's why I brought the Josephus. It was a segue into what's going on in the earth. And I was going to bring it straight off this Ebola thing that's going on, to show you that it's not Ebola we should fear, or we should be actually concentrating on. The prophecies of what they're about to do to us should be the focus. They're going to have another campaign after Ebola, but it's going to all lead to what happened in 70 AD. Them finding new reasons to quarantine us, new reasons to imprison us, new reasons to stop us from traveling. Now they done came out of this with a quote-unquote disease that's color specific. So who are they trying to stop from traveling? Who are they trying to stop from going from one place to the next? Why are they trying to keep you still? Should be the question you're asking yourself. Why all the legislation lead to you being in prison or not being able to go from one place to the next? It wasn't because of the flea doctrine, was it? No, it wasn't because of the flea doctrine. We the ones said this is what the Most High said, because the Romans are coming. Okay? They're coming. All right? Read. Zechariah.
Zechariah chapter 2, verse 1. I lifted up my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand.
A man with a measuring line in his hand.
Then said I, Whither goest thou? And he said unto me, To measure Jerusalem.
I'm going to measure Jerusalem. Now this measurement is to first the 144,000 that links up in Revelations. Revelation 7. Read.
To see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, Run, speak this to the young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls.
Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls. So eventually, there's a measurement where people will flee and be protected by angels without walls. So there's a number of people that's going to make it out of all of this, that the angels are measuring for. Read.
Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her as a wall of fire about.
Now this happened in Egypt, coming out of Egypt, where we were in the wilderness without walls, and the Most High protected us. This is a future prophecy for those who leave their borders. I'm going to show you. Who leave their captivity. And it's deep to me that all these people claim and want to talk about how bad Babylon is, evil, wicked, and want to prophesy and all that. But then if the Most High say leave it, they were like, well, no, I want to be delivered from here. Why? Because you're really in comfort. You don't believe what you're saying about Babylon, because the first door to exit that place you would take. And don't say it's about I need to prophesy, because guess what? There's many places on this earth that our people need prophesying. Finish reading.
Verse 6. Ho, ho.
Ho, ho. That means at last,
Come forth and flee from the land of the north,
Come forth and flee from the land of the north,
saith the Lord.
saith the Lord.
For I have opened, or I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heavens.
So this is after we were scattered, for those who claim that this is speaking of ancient Babylon. This was after Israel was scattered. See? For I have what?
I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heavens.
I have spreaded Israel throughout the four corners of the earth, like was prophesied in Deuteronomy 28. Read.
Saith the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion.
Who?
Deliver thyself, O Zion.
No, I'm going to be delivered where I am.
Deliver thyself, O Zion.
No, I just have to sit here and just make sure I'm keeping the Sabbath.
Deliver thyself, O Zion.
Deliver thyself, O Zion,
That dwellest with the daughter of Babylon.
that dwell with the daughter of Babylon. So this is not even speaking of ancient Babylon. This is speaking of the daughter of Babylon. So what happened in ancient Iraq and Persia have no bearing at all on this prophecy. And I'm saying that because those that are claiming that it's a doctrine, that show you their knowledge concerning history, that they know nothing. Okay? The prophecies have nothing to do with ancient Babylon and Persia. This is after Israel is scattered in this prophecy. It says, deliver thyself, that what?
O Zion,
O Zion,
that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon.
that dwell with the daughter of Babylon. Now, ask a question. Are you living in the daughter of Babylon? Well, if so, this applies. Not with a doctrine, not from what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cover my mouth as Elder Lawyer read the next verse.
Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me out unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, they shall be a spoil to their servants, and ye shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me.
Was that me? Go back to where it says, deliver thyself.
Verse 7. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon.
Who said that? What doctrine is that? Okay. Now let's go to Revelations real quick, and then I'm going into the Apocrypha. Back to Revelations. Now that now it's established that the Most High is speaking of a future Babylon, we can get ancient Babylon off of the conversation now. Because John wouldn't be speaking of a Babylon that was already destroyed in the book of Revelations. And I'm going to tell you again, there will not be a great gathering in America so that Israel, the black people, can all leave all at once like they did in ancient Egypt. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Because why? If a man is gathering Israel, then what is the prophecies concerning Christ? Christ will gather the elect to the elect. That's not for no one man. Let me tell you, if one man did stand up with the power to do so in America, he would be killed. Because it's not his job. Okay? It's not his job. So there will not be a proclamation from the UN to say, we're sorry for what we did to the people in America. We know that the black people are really Israelites, and we want to now have a refuge of ships and boats back to the homeland so that you all can have the land that was promised to you. It's not going to happen. Because there's some other people over there that have state claim to your land. And as long as you're living, you are a threat to their existence. So they're the Romans over there. So now they're looking to finish what they couldn't do in 70 AD. And that's why you have Ebola and all these other false flags put in place legislation to keep us still, to destroy us in the interim. And I'm going to tell you that they're going to use all these events to get down to what they call a manageable number of us. And those that are left of us, that is under their hands, they're going to look to sterilize when they get you. That's the plan. Okay? What they're trying to do is kill off anyone that's fertile who can bring forth the children of promise and turn everyone else into eunuchs so that they will have slaves. Okay? Are you with me? And I hope you're getting it, because like I said, it's going to come a time where we're not before you anymore. It's going to come a time that you're not going to be hearing it. We're not going to be able to. We have to do it other ways. And it's already in my mind. I've been praying on it, on how to deal with it, even when there's no technology to finish. This is just the most efficient way to get so many people at one time. But you think they don't know this? So whatever's being said through these scriptures, when we're before you, I hope you're documenting it. Because right now, you will be able to go with your regular life and you really don't need the information in your daily life to some degree. But a lot of what we're saying, you're going to need for survival, to survive spiritually. So make sure what's being said out of these scriptures are documented. And we're not doing this so that we can stand before you and say we were right. Okay? Because I wish that was the case. I wish that we could just do the same thing here and just stay where our family is and all that and live amongst our family and didn't have to go anywhere. And still be able to travel the whole world, but still have a home in America. But I know that's not the case, because America have never been our home. That's the reality. So what difference is it me being someplace else than there? Everyone complained about what's going on there. Everyone always complaining about being labeled second-class citizens, racism, hatred, separatism, evil, wickedness. But no one is actually looking to say, you know what? The world is vast. Let me see what's out there. And I have faith enough with the Most High to get there, to find out about it. Let me find out more about myself outside of my captive mindset, outside of my bubble I've been born into. Let's go back to Revelations real quick.
Revelations 18, verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
All nations are complicit with her evil against us. Read.
And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
And that's talking about the spiritual fornication, the Satanism that's amongst the world leaders today, against not only our God, us. Read.
And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich.
And why have the earth got rich? It tells us that in the book of Romans, the 11th chapter. Through our fall, the whole earth got rich. And that's why it tells us in the prophets in Revelations, that once we fell, all the nations began to send gifts to each other. Begin to celebrate when we fell, because through our fall, all nations have gained power. Why? Because all the power and riches really belongs to us. We're not supposed to be purchasing anything or riches and power and all that. It's all ours. But the whole earth have celebrated since our fall. But so what is the Most High going to do now? He's going to break their superpower. See, and that's where the Persians come in our modern day prophecy. Iran. Iran not only took down the ancient Babylon, Iran is prophesied to internally destroy the daughter of Babylon. And that's why in the end days, all through your media, you're hearing about Muslim extremists and the threat of Iran. And it won't just be Iran itself. The place is a ticking time bomb. They got nuclear reactors all through the country that if there's an attack, all these nuclear reactors are connected. And it will split America into three parts, like prophesied in the book of Revelations, where no one will be able to live there because you won't be able to breathe or eat in the area because it will be all toxic through nuclear waste. Okay? And that's why it tells us in Revelations that it will be split in three places. So the war will lead to the nuclear reactors melting down. Now, if you don't believe this, you go online and say, I need a map of all the nuclear reactors in the United States, and I need you to look at that. And look at how they're meticulously lined on the Madrid fault line. So once an attack happens, the nuclear reactors go off, and the whole country gets split and become toxic where no man or beast can live. And that's the prophecy of the fall of Babylon, where no man or beast will inhabit it, as written of in the book of Jeremiah. Have we become your enemy because we tell you the truth? The Most High allowed us to put it together through the Spirit, not for some vainglory to say we know or we're right, to warn the people. And then you do what you feel is right once you know. But don't try to downplay it and pigeonhole the Most High's truth into some doctrine. This is not open for a debate or discussion. Finish reading.
The rest of verse 3. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying,
And he heard another voice from saying what? Saying what?
Come out of her, my people.
Come out of her, my people. Like it said, tell us in the book of Zechariah, deliver thyself that dwell with the daughter of Babylon. I heard another voice from heaven saying what?
Come out of her, my people.
Now, if the Most High was going to deliver you from where you are or where you were, then why would he even make a proclamation from the angel to say, come out of her? Oh, I know. It's not really speaking of physically doing something. It's talking about spiritually come out of her. Let's just leave the church and not follow the church. That's what you were told? Okay. Let's use that as an example where it says come out of her. And just for argument's sake, let's just say it's speaking of coming out of her spiritually like everyone is claiming so that they don't have to leave her physically. Finish reading.
Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins.
That you may not be partakers of her what?
Her sins.
Her sins.
And that ye receive not of her plagues.
And that you receive not of her plagues. Okay. So if this is a spiritual Babylon, we must also assume that these sins and plagues are spiritual too. So what's coming on Babylon can't be physical then. Because this is a spiritual scenario, correct? It's either one or the other. Don't say that it's spiritual, but the things coming on Babylon are physical. Right? So why would the Most High be telling us to flee if it's okay to stay? Why would he say come out of her so that you don't receive the plagues that's coming to her? Now, if the plagues are coming to a direct location and you're in that location, you're partaking of the sins and the plagues. Right? Stay with me. Read.
Verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven.
And we know her sins have reached into heaven. They're building their space junk out in space where the Most High resides, where the angels. When you get beyond our firmament, you're in heaven. So the sins is the evil that have made its way out into the heavens. So while they had you believe that Russia and America had a problem with each other during a quote unquote political Cold War. Russia and America was building a space station out in space together, while they're making the regular sheeple on the planet believe that they're really against each other. They're both Edom, led by the same power, Satan. There is no Russia-America issue. They're together. They're doing that. That whole Cold War thing was to keep the people divided while they were out building their junk and putting sins in heaven, which is their space stations, like it was prophesied in the book of Obadiah. Their sins have reached into heaven, read.
And God have remembered her iniquities.
And God have remembered what she have done to our people. He remembered her. Read.
Verse 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works.
So obviously double is coming unto her. Let's see what's coming.
And the cup which she hath filled, filled to her double. Verse 6. How much she hath glorified herself, and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen.
She says, I sit a queen. Now we see her sitting, the statue that represents her is right there in the harbor off of the eastern coast of America, New York. She's saying she sits as a what?
I sit a queen.
I sit a queen. Who can touch me? Who can come against me? No one will ever destroy me. Read.
And am no widow, and shall see no sorrow.
So she think that she's going to stand forever. Well, that's what's being portrayed to the civilians. But there's a different future according to prophecies from this Bible. Even though she's given a mirage as if she will operate forever. And guess what? It's to the point now that I'm looking at it, she's not really given that mirage no more. Because usually Hollywood dictates what society believes. And all through Hollywood right now, it's talking about zombies. It's talking about people losing their minds. It's talking about homosexuality and promoting that. It's in all the movies you see in the Statue of Liberty tilted over, ran over by the apes. So usually, like when Happy Days came out, it was dictating a certain time in American history, whereas it was about family and all that. Then Good Times came out. It was dictating what was going on amongst our community on welfare, living in projects. So what are they portraying now? They're actually showing you they're getting the minds prepared, the people's minds prepared to see the fall of this place. Why? It tells us in Revelation 17 that they are complicit in the fall of Babylon so that all power can go back to Rome. Because America have took Europe's glory. So if this is all prophesied in Revelations, what is these people talking about? Talking about some flea doctrine. What will you do about a place that's prophesied not to be there? That's prophesied to be totally destroyed. How do you resolve that? Finish reading.
Revelations 18 verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day.
Her plagues will come in one day. Now, let's see if these are spiritual plagues.
Death.
What?
Death.
Hold up. It's going to come in one day. Death.
And mourning.
Mourning.
And famine.
And famine.
And she shall be utterly burnt with fire.
Now, that's why the Most High is saying, come out of her, my people. Because there's a physical prophecy concerning its utter destruction. Now, if someone want to believe that that's just speaking of a flea doctrine, if you don't hear what the Most High say, then don't listen to me. I can't convince you of nothing if you don't understand what the Most High is saying. If you're saying that the Most High is saying that through these scriptures that you're supposed to stay put, you're supposed to stay put then. I'm going to put that straight out for you. You belong. You need to stay there and wait for delivery. But don't try to claim that it's a doctrine that's coming from some people that formulated this out of their own minds. I wasn't there when the Most High gave John this on the Isle of Patmos. I'm just quoting what was given through revelation to John the Revelator. And if you don't believe it, if you believe it's just a doctrine, stay put. But for those that are taking heed to prophecy, I want you to finish reading. When you see military as often as you see police, that's your sign. You're living on borrowed time. You're living on borrowed time in which you can decide whether or not you will be there or someplace else. You will have time, believe it or not, when you start seeing military regularly, because they're going to come as saviors at first. They're going to operate and do good things. You're going to hear about these feel-good stories that could not have happened if military wasn't in your areas. Okay? So it's not going to happen immediately when you see military. But know that that's your sign. Because if an executive order comes down, we all know that the military just follow orders. They're not like your police. Some police make conscious decisions towards citizens because they value the Constitution. Well, military is different. They just follow orders. Then they're not bound by the Constitution under an executive order or martial law. So what I'm explaining to you, just on layman's terms, just the law so you can understand. When this happened, when that false flag happened through 9/11, and George Bush put the Patriot Act on the books and had a law that will now bring together state, local, and federal powers. That means no longer there's a separation between state, federal, and local. And now that gives the military the power over all states. But our physical sign, they already put the law in place now. Now they're going to use Ebola. They're going to use all these other campaigns to get the military in place in interacting with citizens so that we can so that they can actually gain citizens' trust, as if something is not seriously wrong here with military operating every day amongst you, which is against posse comitatus. But the military, and I'm going to tell you how compartmentalized this is. When the military are placed there, they're not being told when they're placed there what they're actually being placed there for. They're only there for that particular scenario they're told initially. But the fact they're in place is your sign. Because once they come with the next false flag, it's going to be where you must go through checkpoints that used to be alcohol checkpoints that will be soon manned by military. And they will determine whether or not you can go from one place to the next. And if you got a child sneezing, if you got somebody sniffling, they're gonna shoot you with one of these guns and say that we don't know if you got Ebola. Take him this way. Take her that way. The whole family. That's how it's coming. But that's just the minimal part of it. We speak of the minuscule part of this, brothers and sisters. We're not speaking of when they strike Iran. Now imagine all these things culminating into one, where there is a national emergency because what's going on? The nuclear reactors are being shut down and all these things, and there's blackouts and all these things. And now military got full power. You definitely can't travel now. So when you put it all together, what's being planned, It's exactly what the Bible is speaking of. But this is what you have to realize. I know we've been born into this bubble that we think is the world called America. After America is no more, the world will still be here. It would just be ruled from a different place on earth. Satan's power will still be operating before Christ comes, while America's totally gone. And that's in Jeremiah when it talks about those that flee, who sat back and seen her, and they bewailed and cried. It tell you that in Jeremiah, for those that flee, so they can now proclaim the truth that they prophesied on that place and it's fallen. And then next, the same teachers that are in different areas outside of America is going to let China know that they're next. It's going to let other countries know they're next. That Israel will soon be free. That's prophecy. Finish reading.
Verse 9.
Go ahead.
Or the verse to verse 8. And she shall be utterly burnt with fire, strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and have lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her. And they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off.
Hold up. Maybe that's spiritual smoke.
And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning.
When they shall see the smoke of her burning. Now, you can read the rest of Revelations if you would like. But there's one thing I want to go into. I got 15 more minutes. And I hope Rudy Pina is listening. So Rudy Pina, your question to that led to us going through that real quick. About the flee Babylon doctrine was your question. Didn't Persia already conquer Babylon? How do we know this is not a prophecy that already happened? Let me ask you, and just you answer, no one else, please. Rudy Pina, have your question been answered? The chat is off. The chat is actually unpaused now. Rudy Pina, have your question been answered? What was his question? About the flee Babylon doctrine. Didn't Persia already conquer Babylon? How do we know this is not a prophecy that have already happened? Before I read out of the Apocrypha, I'm waiting for your response, brother. Rudy Pina. Going? Are you there? All right.
Probably a delay.
It's a delay? I'll wait.
Probably so.
I'll wait a second because sometimes it's like that. Okay, that's good, Rudy Pina. I'm not, like I said, when I brought it forth, I made sure that I wasn't addressing you personally. I was actually addressing those that have turned or coined phrases of the Most High saying, come out of her, my people, as a flee doctrine. It wasn't about you. Okay? But I wanted to make sure you understand. The next thing. You said you were looking into the Greek, right? Concerning the tree, concerning the cross. Huh? Okay, so when you look in the Greek, it don't say cross at all. It just says wood. Okay. Okay. So we have someone that speaks the Greek and the ancient Greek and can translate it. And when you look at the Greek in the New Testament, when you look in the Greek in the New Testament concerning cross, that word cross is nowhere in the ancient Greek of the New Testament. It just says tree. Even where it says cross in your New Testament, it's not a cross. It's tree. All right. But again, we understand that the cross or the T links back to ancient Babylonians' worship of Tammuz. But to me, it's really not that important to me when it comes to my faith and understanding that whether it was a tree or a cross, the fact that Christ was crucified for my sins is the key of emphasis for me. And that it did happen. Whether or not his arms were nailed like this or like this, he still was crucified for our sins. That's the key part. That's the key point that we should always emphasize. But I understand why some people would say, well, the cross is a contradiction, or the cross is this and the cross is that. Well, it's a tree. And my answer in the past used to be, well, what is crosses made out of? So the key point of emphasis is that Christ was crucified for the sins of Israel, which is prophesied from the Old Testament. All right? I need you to go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, so that we can get the mindset of why we have these false flags. First it was swine flu, it was Ebola. And I'm going to tell you right now, the reason, and I've spoken to someone who lived in Texas. Now, the reason right now, brothers and sisters, that they have these campaigns is during this time of year, because we're coming into what you call the winter time. Now, we all know during the winter, people are more susceptible to colds, flus, or whatever the case is, not strictly because it's cold, because people are inside, condensed inside, and are not walking out regularly outside. So places become more germy. Places become more what you would call, it's more susceptible to contagion. People stay inside. So those that are in the malls are packed. So if you got one person with the flu or whatever, it spreads because why? You have so many people packed in a condensed place. At your work, you're not going outside all the time because why? You're not going out in open air. You're staying in congested places. Now, I found out a long time ago that a lot of these germ experiments goes down with some of these, not only through the schools, but also it happens through these insane asylums, these psych wards. So a lot of them be getting they get shot with these diseases like cold and influenza, and they're given passes and bus passes and train passes to ride on subways to spread the contagion. So how does this lead to some type of pandemic or what they call an epidemic or pandemic? Well, what happens here is that it's the wintertime, and now all these flu symptoms that are being spread amongst us will now be labeled not colds, not influenza, but Ebola symptoms. Okay? Now, a lot of you don't know this, but doctors and nurses have what you would call continuing education all the time. When something new is on the scene, they have to go through these certain classes to prepare for this new strain or whatever the case is. And because Ebola is so grave in side effects, they must assume now that when someone comes to their hospitals that they have Ebola. So they're going to start asking you questions if you have a cold or a flu. Have you been traveling to foreign countries? Do you know someone that traveled to Africa? They're actually trained to start asking these questions. But it don't have anything to do with Ebola, flu, or the cold. It have everything to do with looking to quarantine and kill and sterilize people. And on and on and on. We look at the HIV campaign, the AIDS campaign. All these campaigns lead to the same thing. Emotional you're totally unstable emotionally. You cannot reprocreate or operate regularly because you feel that you are someone that need to be quarantined because they claim you got AIDS or HIV, which we know is a label or a campaign to sterilize and kill people. There's no such thing as HIV. HIV is a campaign to get you on the medication that kills you. So it all leads to our destruction. And that's what we need to see when it comes to Ebola and all these campaigns. It leads to what happened to us in 70 AD. So we need to more so focus on the prophecies in the Bible than what campaigns they come out with. It's the vaccines that are killing people. That's causing these symptoms. Okay? Leading to sterilization and the total destruction of our people. It's 70 AD. No matter what campaign they claim, there's no people falling out in the earth over Ebola. It's the campaign that leads to what they will do to us in number. It's what happens after the campaign. That's our threat. Okay? Now, how do we know the mind of the wicked that's ruling? Well, the Most High gave us an understanding and a window into the mind of the wicked. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1.
Read.
For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not right.
So the ungodly that's operating and ruling over this world, the disciples of Satan, we're speaking of those that are in the UN, those that are in charge of this earth. They reason amongst themselves, but when they come together, it's not right. Read.
Our life is short and tedious.
They're saying that their life is short and tedious.
And in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been.
He's saying, listen, they're saying, listen, we only live once. There's going to come a time where we're not in power. We're not here. So we have to do what? This is how the wicked thinks now. Read.
For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark that moveth of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away.
Our time is a very shadow that passeth away.
And after our end is no returning.
And after our end, there is no returning. So this is what the wicked is saying amongst themselves. Like, we have this life right now to get whatever we're going to get, because we don't know what will come of us after this. Now, this is how the leaders of this earth think. The Most High gave us this wisdom so that we can understand who's ruling us in this earth. Read.
For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore.
So they're saying, come on, therefore, because we only have this life to live.
Let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth.
Let's use the Most High's creation like children. So that gives us the mindset of those that are ruling this earth. They're running around like little children, just using the earth as their playground. See? Like the earth is just their pleasure. The people are here for their youthful pleasures. Read.
Verse 7. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and
Let
ointments.
us fill ourselves with costly wine. And what?
And ointments.
And ointments.
And let no flower of the spring pass by us.
Let's make sure we don't miss anything while we're still here. Isn't that what they sell us in this American dream, in this world dream? Live for today. You ever hear that? What a wicked statement. Let's live for today. That's the mindset of those that are ruling us. How does this all tie in? I'm going to show you. Because they're thinking something else against us in these meetings. So not only do they come together to talk about what lands they're going to buy and what they're going to do when they go and buy their yachts and celebrate and have big parties and all that. They not only talk about that. That's just one part of how the leaders of this earth operate. But they also, in these meetings, talk about us. See, even though we lost our identity and have no idea who we are, they know who we are. They know the prophecies concerning us. They know that one day we are destined to rule. And that their programming could only work on us for some time before it begins to dissipate. We're in that time. So not only is it talking about how they're going to use the earth, they also have meetings on how they're looking to deal with us. Read.
Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Matter of fact, verse 8. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds
crown ourselves with rosebuds
before they be withered.
Before they withered.
Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place.
And that's why the Mason powers, when they accomplish something, they leave statues of themselves every place they go. They leave statues so that they can be remembered. See? So that's their tokens they leave in each place. Read.
For this is our portion, and our lot is this.
Because this is all we get. Mm-hmm. See? So they must get reverence and all that in this world, knowing that once we're in power, there's no more revering them. So they say, listen, this life is all we have, so we must make ourselves into gods to be revered in this earth. We must leave our statues and everything all over the earth because this is all we get. Right? Read.
Verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man.
Hold up. Now they're talking about us now. Now they're going to turn politically towards us. Let us oppress the what?
The poor righteous man.
The poor righteous man.
Let us not spare the widow.
Let us not spare the widow.
Nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age.
And let us not respect our elders. Read.
Let our strength be the law of justice.
And we're going to use the law to oppress the poor and righteous. See that? Now I'm looking at what's going on with the Ebola and all that, these campaigns. And it's all leading to do what? To oppress, to put laws in place to oppress the poor and righteous. See? Because this is their campaign. They'll sit together and say, these people are still multiplying. The prophecies concerning their rise is here. We are about to fall. And they'll come together and say, you know what? What campaign we got next? We need to put some military in place. Bring in a doctor. Okay, what disease we got in place? Okay, Ebola? Okay, need you to go and take one of your clinics tell the CDC to take a few of their clinics into Africa and different parts. I need you to vaccinate at least 20, 30 people. And let's keep our cameras there so they can see the effects of it. And then we're going to have a campaign in which we're going to make it wrong. We're going to make it a threat to be black. See? And we're going to publicize it as if it's the worst thing known to man. We're going to oppress the poor and righteous. So they come with all these campaigns that eventually lead to them destroying us. Listen clearly.
Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous.
Let us lie in wait for the righteous. Now the righteous are those that fear and love the Most High, that look every day to please the Most High and follow His law. So they have a problem with those that are looking towards the law. See that? I'm talking about the righteous law. They set up these churches to make you believe you're unrighteous if you're looking to follow the laws of the Old Testament. See? So their aim is towards getting rid of the righteous. Listen.
Verse 12. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn.
Because they are not for our turn. They are against us, to show you that there's wicked people in high places running this earth. And the fact that there's righteous poor people, the question would be, what is the threat of poor righteous people to them? They're rich and have everything. Why do they feel a need to talk about this? When these people are poor, have nothing, can't go nowhere. So why should they be a point of emphasis to be destroyed by the powers that be? Because they know that the prophets and the teachers and those whom the Most High work with always come from a low estate. Okay? They always come from humble beginnings. See? That's why they're focusing on the poor. Keep in mind, Christ came from the ghettos of Israel. He came from Nazareth. That was the lowest parts of Israel. So they're focusing on the poor because they know that the Most High deal with the poor, the needy, the oppressed. And if the righteous that will raise the people, if the righteous is amongst any society, it would first be amongst the oppressed. That's where the Most High would actually choose to bring forth His prophets, teachers, those that can resolve and understand what's going on and speak to injustice. So He says we need to focus on the poor and righteous. What else are they saying here? What else are they saying here? Read.
Let us not, Shalakia, the rest of verse 12.
Go ahead.
Because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings.
And he's clean contrary to us. Read.
He upbraideth us with our offending the law.
Because they're telling us that we shouldn't be breaking God's law. To tell you that they're looking towards the Israelites who are poor and righteous, who are out there telling them you shouldn't be eating swine. You shouldn't be eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. You shouldn't be worshiping on a Sunday. You shouldn't be worshiping anything pagan. So they act like they don't hear it, but they're incinerated. Because here it is, we're poor and righteous, but yet stand for something and cannot be bought, cannot be paid off. We still follow and love the Most High, even in our poor state. They can't stand it. Hey, I've done it. Go right in their face, right downtown, right amongst where they are, all their politicians and leaders, and let them know Most High is going to bring y'all down. You're dealing with wickedness. Here it is. You set up a whole society, a Masonic society, worshiping Lucifer. There is no law here. There's no righteousness here. And they looking at us like, what? Who are you? But even though they don't say it in public, when they're to themselves at night and they go into their rooms and cut off that light, all their whole life and what they're doing, and they start to resolve it and realize it's nothing, it's of no value. And they're hearing the words of prophets and teachers saying, well, listen, all that glory you think you have is nothing, because you have no soul. Okay? You have no righteousness and no connection with the Most High. So they may not say it in public, but when they're to themselves in their four walls, it all comes to them. They cannot sleep at night. So they'll come the next day, they'll beat on the desk, and they come, how can we get rid of these guys? How can we get rid of them? I'm tired of this. Why? Because it's ringing in their ear. Because they know what we're saying is right. They can't escape themselves. Now they can't even enjoy their parties. They can't enjoy anything. They're looking at the pig sitting there with the apple all glazed, and they're looking at it. They're at the party and trying to toast. And the only thing that's in their mind is some guys with some turbans telling them how wicked they are and how soon their God, along with them, will be destroyed. Their yachts will be destroyed. That Israel will one day be ours. Okay, bring in the Ebola doctor. Bring in the swine flu doctor. Let's bring in all these people. Let's bring in HIV. Let's kill them. They won't even allow us to live our dream. We walk downtown, we walk around, and all we hear is them screaming, telling us that our empire. And I give to charity. I try to help those people. We need to make a new law called noise pollution. I started laughing when a cop came to me and told me that I know you're not like the rest of them, but there's a such thing as noise pollution. I'm like, so y'all have a machine that actually measures sound now with decibels to tell me that I'm too loud? That's what you're telling me? If you would like, sir, I will turn off the speaker and I'll still prophesy. Would you like that? Just turn it down just a little. I'm like, no, sir. I'm going to turn it off. Okay? I'm going to respect you. And I get louder than what the speaker was. Okay? And it rings. You think those politicians don't know? How the words are echoing off those buildings into their high buildings with their window open? You think they can't hear it? So when they come in these secret meetings, this is what they're talking about. What are they saying? The jig is up. The Hebrews are waking up. These are poor people. And we've pulled their files. We've pulled their dossiers. And none of these people have the education to say and do what they're doing right now. Okay? There's a spiritual phenomenon. Israel is waking up. And then that's when they call in their doctors and their sorcerers, like they did in Egypt, to say, what can we do to oppress these people? What can we do to keep them busy so that their focus is not on Zion, it's not on the Most High? What did the Egyptians say? What did Pharaoh say? Have them build brick without straw. So they'll come together and say, you know what? Let's have austerity measures. Let's cut their pay so they can work longer hours. If they're working, they don't have any time to think about leaving. See, keep in mind, brothers and sisters, you cannot run a kingdom without servants. So when they see you looking to get passports, now they're used to the rich getting passports, but when they see you getting passports, looking to travel and expand your education globally, they're looking at slaves leaving. It lowers their dominion. And that's why you have Ebola and all these things. Because why? The slaves are leaving the plantation. They need to set borders. They need to make rules in place and put laws in place to keep the slaves serving. Okay? Read that last part again.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 12. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous,
Let us lie in wait for the righteous,
because he is not for our turn,
because they are not like us.
and he is clean contrary to our
and
doings.
he's clean contrary to us.
He upbraideth us with our offending of the law.
And every time we look, they're talking about the law of God and saying that we're not following the law, saying that homosexuality is wrong, knowing that a lot of them got in their positions because they were compromised through sodomy. How do you think that feels? Some poor guy on the street saying homosexuality is a sin, when that's how you got your position. That's your initiate into your little private satanic club. They can't stand it. So then what? And I'm going to tell you who's more ruthless than the male so-called homosexuals, the lesbians. They're even more ruthless. Okay? They're the ones, a lot of them in your schools, passing legislation to give your children vaccines that are killing their brains and causing them to have asthma and all that, and causing all type of respiratory issues. It's the lesbians who are trying to pass themselves off as regular women, who have a serious problem with our God. So they all get together and say, what are we going to do about these guys? Read.
And objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education.
And we tell them that their education is foolishness. They can't stand it. That's the first thing they say when they look to invite you or want you to go on one of their shows or something. Well, what is your credentials? What school did you go to? They like to pull that out and all that. Like, listen, I went to the school of the Most High. Okay, and I can tell you that whoever we on this show with will be coming with some madness he learned from y'all. We don't have a degree in foolishness, because the Bible says the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. They say the video is going in and out and repeating. I bet you it is. But the recording is still here. You just have to get it, because I'm almost at the end of this. I'm about to wrap up in a moment. Read on.
Verse 13. He professeth to have the knowledge of God.
He professeth to have the knowledge of the Most High.
And he calleth himself the child of the Lord.
And they starting to call themselves the children of Israel.